All right, three, two, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to do a little beginner's guide to Formula One and motor racing in general today. We'll look at what the flags mean. So, you've probably seen the yellow, green, blue flags that they wave the track marshals right when the cars are out, right? Now, normally it's hard to see them on screen, but then every now and then you'd see them, right? So, yeah, some of the commentators, they do explain them, but we're going to go through all of them today, all right? And we're going to explain how the safety car works. In other words, why they do a virtual safety car versus a full safety car, right? These are some of the elements that you really need to know and pay attention and learn as a racing driver. And you learn the main flags in karting, like when you're starting off when you're 6, 7, 8 years of age, and that's what I had to do back in the day. So you really need to know your flags. Like, you can't just go out on the track and not know, because all of a sudden you could get docked and you could get into an accident, God forbid, if you don't know what they mean. But I mean, they're quite easy. So, but we're going to go through them anyway, and I have a list of them here just in case I forget any of the flags, because I want to make sure you guys know. And like, you do learn about the safety car when you get to car racing. Like, you wouldn't really have a safety car in karting. No. It depends on the track. For instance, when I was a kid, when I was racing the 100cc karts, we do 100 miles an hour, 110 even, depending, at a certain track called Mondello in Dublin. Now, that was actually a car racing track. So the thing is that was such a big track, and it was stretched out. It was long. It was wide. And in terms of, it was so wide, you could fit about 8 to 9 karts next to each other. That never happens, but like, if you had to, you could do probably even more, maybe 10, maybe fucking even more, depending just how wide the track is. But again, these are just the things that you'd learn, and we didn't really learn much when it comes to the safety car in karting, because you'd have it once or twice every now and then. But it really applies when you get into the Formula Ford, Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 1. So we'll go through them. And I think it's a good guide, because a lot of people these days, especially since Drive to Survive, of course, that a lot of people have got into it now. It's amazing the response from Drive to Survive. I mean, when I was racing, guys, no one gave a shit that I was racing in karting or motor racing. I mean, people go, "Oh, so you're that racing driver dude, right?" Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. How's it going? Good? Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. So what's your next plant, lad? There, no one gave a fuck. So, but it's amazing now. Now people are saying, "So Peter, that's the stuff you tried. You tried to race or did racing, right?" Yeah. Jeez, well, is it really like this? I mean, it's amazing, the response now. Drive to Survive really has brought a lot of you into the game. So I'm gonna help out as much as I can. So why don't we get cracking, shall we? So let's look at the flags first off, and then we'll get into the virtual safety car and then the full safety car, and why they execute a virtual safety car versus a full safety car. Okay, so we'll start with the flags. So probably a lot of you know, and you definitely see the green flag when you start to watch the start of a Formula One race. So as you know, on a Grand Prix Sunday, the cars go out. They're on the grid. They go out for one little warm up lap. Then they form up on the start line, and then they wait for the lights to come on. Now, as I'm sure most of you have seen, this will probably be an obvious one, but just in case, you see the green flag. So when they've all done their opening warm-up lap, they come along, stop on the grid. Once the last car has stopped on the grid, then you see that guy down the middle of the track waving like crazy the green flag. Green flag basically means you go, right? It's game time. It's race time. Okay, that's pretty much the only way to start it. I mean, and even for practice sessions, you'll have a marshal up at the top of the pit lane, and when the clock strikes to 0 and the track is open for the cars, they can now go on the track. They'll just start waving the green flag. Cars know, okay, it's green, let's go. So it's basically like a green light at a traffic light. So the green flag, that's that. Then you've got the blue flag. Now the blue flag, there's two variations of a blue flag, you could say. So a blue flag means that a faster car is approaching you and you should let them overtake you. Okay? So depending on the severity of it, in other words, this will happen if you're a backmarker. Now, a backmarker basically means you could be getting lapped in a race. Okay? And then, therefore, they'll send that out. Now, we'll start with the normal blue flag, the stationary blue flag. In other words, the marshal will just... Now, if you're watching me on YouTube, you'll see what I'm doing here, but the marshal will just hold it out, just as it, just frozen in position, blue flag. That means a faster car is about to overtake you. Now, it might not be on your bumper. It might be coming up you. It might be about maybe 2 corners away, but he's giving you notice, right? So the car now knows, okay, right, well, fine. Look in my mirrors. Let's check who's coming up. I have to let them overtake. Now, if you come into a corner or even a straight and the marshal is crazily waving the blue flag, right? I mean, everywhere, like all frantically almost. That means that the guy behind you is quick and he's coming up and he's right on your ass. So, like, you need to do immediate action. Like, really, even if it with a stationary blue flag, you need to be taking action anyway. You need to be looking in the mirrors, pulling over anyway, okay? But the waving like crazy, frantic, lunatic marshal waving the blue flag, you need to be instantly pulling over and slowing down and letting the guy behind pass. Because the chances are, if you don't, 1, you could cause a crash. 2, you could probably get even penalized or black flagged from the race. Now we'll go through the black flag in a minute. In other words, disqualified. So that's what the blue flag is. Now, okay, let's have a look. Now, you see, they're always going on about... Yeah, I'm just looking at the list here. Okay, now, white flagged. Right. That informs the driver that there's a much slower vehicle ahead. And it's sometimes seen at practice sessions, but it's not really. I mean, especially in my day, you don't see a white flag much. Okay? Because even with the white flag, a lot of the teams these days will signal to their driver, hey guys, hey Max, turn 4 ahead, 2 corners ahead, there's somebody, or whatever it is, right? Or they'll just use the lights themselves. So actually that's an important thing to notice as well, to remember too, guys, that the flags that I'm calling out, so even the green and the blue flag already now, a lot of the times they'll use lights for that as well. So depending on the track, normally they should, right? They should use lights, but sometimes they don't. Now, yellow flag with red stripes. So it's a motionless striped yellow-red flag. Now, there's been a deterioration in grip levels due to oil or water on the track ahead. Okay, so in other words, you could be going on the main straight and all of a sudden this comes out, the yellow flag with red stripes. Most of the time, it's oil. If it's water because it's wet, they're not taking that flag out, all right? The driver knows it's raining, it's going to be fucking slippy as hell. But if there's oil ahead, and it does happen sometimes, so the driver really's got to pay attention to that one, because you could go into a bend at 110, 115 miles an hour and boom, you're gone. So that's the yellow flag with red stripes. Now, the yellow flag. Now again, it's kind of like works where you've got a stationary yellow flag or a frantic waving of the yellow flag. So the first one, yellow flag means danger ahead. That could be a huge accident or there's a fucking pileup. Either way, if you see a stationary yellow flag, you're probably 1, maybe 2, even 3 corners before the accident or the scene, incident, whatever you want to call it. And you got to be careful. Now, normally, you see, this can trick a lot of drivers, and I wouldn't say trick as in it's a deliberate trick that the FIA pull on drivers, but you do have to pay attention, and 99% of the time, you got to slow the fuck down. Now, if it's a stationary yellow flag and you're not in that corner, what they can do is they can penalize you if you don't slow down. I get it, depending. Sometimes you can actually get away with it. And I think they just basically, they dictate that off how far away you are, how fast you're going. And then you've got the frantically waving, panicked psycho marshal who's frantically waving the yellow flag. That means there's a big fucking accident ahead, or you're right on top of it and you got to slow the fuck down big time. And I can tell you now, if a driver sees a frantic marshal waving that yellow flag around, oh, we know exactly what's going on. And if you don't slow down, guys, you're going to get penalized. And in fact, a lot of the time, you could even get disqualified from the race because you could just add to that fucking incident. So, frantically waving yellow flag, there's an accident ahead. So, that's if in case you're wondering. Now, the red flag. I think we've all seen the red flag, right? They definitely have the lights for this one. So the red flag means the session has stopped. So you've seen that in probably practice, qualifying, race. Okay, and they normally show it anyway. It's probably a very obvious one to you, but we'll call it out anyway. Red flag, session stopped. There's a big accident on the track. There could be a huge oil burst, oil leak on the track somewhere. And I mean, it's so bad that there's no way they can have drivers go through there. And the marshals will be on the fucking track going, slow down, almost blocking the track, depending on how bad it is, of course. So yeah, red flag means the session is stopped. And that's practice, qualifying, or the race, should I say. So black flag. Now, we haven't seen many black flags in Formula 1 for a while. I have to admit. And it's kind of weird. Because you'd always have a black flag. Like any motor racing, really, you'd always have one fucking black flag throughout the year. It's very bizarre that they don't have one. But anyway, you never know what could happen the next round. So black flag means you've been disqualified from the race. You're obviously dangerous driving, you've bumped someone off the track, and you've been warned, and you just keep going anyway, like some drunken fucking sailor at the wheel. Oh, fuck, I don't give a shit. And you're done. You're toast. Like, you're out. And then depending on how bad the severity is, you might even get docked for a couple of races after that. Now, luckily, I'm trying to think now here on the fly here, on the spot, has there been anyone really bad? There hasn't been for a while now. I have to say that you go, Jesus Christ, lads, what the fuck? As in, this guy should be banned for fucking a year. It hasn't been like that for a while, which is good. And in fairness, a lot of racing drivers, we do respect the speed. We do respect a lot of drivers. Now, there's some drivers that play dirty, yes, and they'd love to fuck someone off. But really, we do have, I suppose, what would you say, an unwritten rule that we have a certain respect for drivers, and we don't want to fucking have a big crash with you. You know, we don't. It's as simple as that. We don't have a death wish or anything. So that's why you wouldn't see, I suppose, really many black flags, I guess, because of that respect we have. Okay, black flag with an orange disc. Now, that orange disc would be basically an orange circle in the center of a black flag. So that means that you got a mechanical problem. Now, you could have a wing falling off the car. You might know it's falling off and you're going to come in, but maybe you don't. I mean, sometimes even in a kart or a car, you could be going around the track and you might feel that the car's a bit off, or this, hey, what the fuck's going on? And you're radiating back into the team. And now, the team, 99.99% of the time, they're going to know. Okay? But sometimes, you never know, right? You just never know. So a black flag with an orange disc, mechanical problem. Now, I mean, that could be anything from your tire is falling off the back, or it's a bit loose. Your wing is loose. Your side pod, which is the side part of the car, and it's got that hole in it. Okay, that would be the side pod where air comes in. Anything like that could be loose, and the problem is that they'll wave that frantically because the last thing they want is a part of your car falling off and hitting another car, or God forbid, an audience member and it flies into the audience, the stadium. So that very, very rarely happens. So, let's not get carried away. Checkered flag. Now, the checkered flag, I'm sure most of you know that one. Blue and white, stripy flag. That's the end of the race. And once you pass that, race is over. So let's get to the safety car. And